Hey guys, it's Protendo, and Animal Crossing New Horizons has added a ton of new features to the series that have made significant changes to the Animal Crossing formula. One of the most notable is that every tool, minus the vaulting pole and ladder, has a set amount of uses before it breaks. As insignificant as this might seem to someone who doesn't own New Horizons, it's actually become one of the most discussed features in the game, from those who are on both sides of the fence. Some people are a fan of the new system while others think it takes away from the experience. And unfortunately, I'm on the latter side. I personally believe that tool durability is one of the worst new additions to Animal Crossing New Horizons. But before you guys get on me for being too negative, let me explain why I think this. The first thing that I want to say is that I do think breakable tools have an important role in New Horizons, and that's in the tutorial. Having flimsy tools in the beginning allows for the player to learn the basics of crafting and material collection, since both will be necessary in order for them to replace their tools. Not only is tool durability teaching the player to value their equipment, but it also allows them to experiment with gathering materials, which is important since this is the first Animal Crossing game to feature this. As the player breaks more and more tools, they can find out how to maximize the amount of materials they get from rocks, or learn the difference between a wood gathering axe and a tree chopping axe. Essentially, the flimsy tools themselves act like mini tutorials, and I think that's great. But the problems start to arise once we move on to the next category of tools. Okay, I think I understand what Nintendo is trying to do here. They wanted to make sure that crafting and material collection would always be an essential part of the New Horizons experience, and what better way to make crafting important than making it necessary to get your equipment? It sounds like a good idea on paper, but in New Horizons the system is incredibly flawed. My issue with tool durability is that after the tutorial, it does nothing to enhance the Animal Crossing experience and only works to make things more aggravating than they need to be. In Animal Crossing, there's good tedium and bad tedium. I still stand by the idea that a lot of things that seem monotonous in the series actually do a lot to improve your experience. For example, terraforming. While not a perfect system, I think it's handled incredibly well. You're free to disagree with this, but building up every single tile myself instead of, say, selecting a huge area and pressing OK to have cliffs appear there makes the whole experience more enjoyable. I'm able to look back on my progress after a long day's work and be proud of how far I've progressed. The experience may have been a little tedious, sure, but that's part of what makes Animal Crossing a life sim. Not everything gets done right away, and that slow development of your island adds to the sense of progression that you feel. Tool durability is an example of the bad type of tedium. When your tools break, you're not really encouraged to gather materials in order to make a new one, especially if the tool that you broke is one that you would use to gather said materials. That's what you would do in the tutorial, which is why the system works well there and there only. Once you've gotten past the first few days though, the only thing you're going to do is run back to your house and get materials from storage. Nothing is gained from this. It's simply a disruptive annoyance that puts a pin in whatever you're doing for no explainable reason. The players don't need to learn the ropes at this point. We understand how to craft and how to collect materials from trees and rocks. And the worst part about all of this is that Animal Crossing New Horizons is the most customizable Animal Crossing game of all time, yet it's also the one that limits how much you can use your tools. Shovels, axes, and watering cans are used constantly while designing your island, so why does the game punish you by making you continuously have to go through the same process of gathering materials to make yet another tool that's just gonna break in a few hours anyways? And just to rub salt into the wound, for some reason you have to make a flimsy version of the tool before you can make the one you want. Why is this? If I have the materials to make a flimsy version and a regular version, why can't I just make the regular version from the get-go? I just don't understand it. But that's more so a problem with the game's crafting system. But this actually isn't the worst of it. Regular tools breaking, sure, it sucks. But golden tools breaking is far worse. Golden tools are some of the most sought after things in any Animal Crossing game, and for good reason. They're a testament of how much you've achieved while living in your town, or in this case, on your island. And you know what? If golden tools didn't break, I probably wouldn't be making this video. Because if that were the case, some form of progression is still earned. You're eventually rewarded for having to put up with the annoying tool durability system. But the golden tools break too, and this just makes no sense to me. For example, you get the golden net and the golden fishing rod recipes for catching every bug in the game and every fish in the game respectively. So what could possibly be earned by having these tools break as well? Although I hate to apply this logic to Animal Crossing, you've essentially beaten fishing and bug catching at this point. But because it's Animal Crossing, you're still going to be doing a lot of it. So wouldn't it be nice to have a permanent reward? Additionally, gold nuggets are pretty difficult to find, so if your golden tool breaks, you might not even be in the position to immediately replace it, and that really sucks. It makes your achievement to receive this special tool lose so much value, because it's not something that you'll always have with you. But there's one more thing I want to talk about in this video before it ends. Watering cans. They break? I have so many questions.